afterwards, if we want to talk about some more of those issues, we can. We can't just keep somewhat of the focus on the
As just as a citizen not associated with the Neighbors for Safe Charlotte, I have a concern of the complacency that may fall on the part of the legislators that we've elected in cutting their budget. Is there anything that we as citizens can do to make sure what your needs are, budgetary or organizational-wise, that we can make sure that we project that out from a citizen's point of view, these legislators that are looking at cutting budgets in 2010?
Well, one of the things that we constantly say to council and to the city manager, that we're not going to lose our focus. We're not going to fall back and claim some type of success to say that we're satisfied where we are. We continue to have needs. We continue to request resources. And right now, we think that we're okay. That the budget that we have in 2010, that we'll be able to continue these efforts, and then we'll immediately start the process for 2011. Right now, I haven't had any indication where we're not going to look to continue to address our needs. So I think we're okay.
Do you have any concerns that your progress will be stymied by the problems in the court system, and that, in fact, the backlogs in the court system, the inefficiencies in the court system will be downplayed because of the success in reducing the crime rate?
Well, one of the things we're helping the court system. We've brought 10,000 less opportunities for a case to come before them. But we're working very diligently with the courts, and we're starting to see some movement in some of the areas that have been of concern, especially as it relates to our priority offenders. We still continue to believe that community prosecution is an avenue that we all need to venture down. We need to have better relationships with probation. There's over 8,000 probationers that reside within our county that we need to have a better understanding of what they're involved in, what type of activities, what their conditions of release are, so that we can hold them more accountable while they're out in the community. So those are some of the things that we're going to be focusing on. We've talked about a repeat offender unit, whether or not we're going to specifically target individuals every day that we know are involved in repeat crime, follow them around. So we're looking at a host of different things going into 2010. Never will you see this department sit back and say, you know what, we think we have this in hand. That's not the way to operate a police department. You got to continue to be thinking, because you best believe that criminal is out there each and every day trying to figure out how they're going to take advantage of the citizen of this community. We have to be just diligent in identifying ways that we're going to go after.
Looking at the beat-by-beat breakdown of the numbers, it looks like there are a few response areas where things have gone up, not in the but just in beats. Do you have any plans to target hotspots?
38 of the 30, we have 39 response areas. 38 of those 39 response areas has reductions. We do have one response area that saw increases, and we're evaluating a number of things to how we employ people in that. Who's leading that particular response area. So again, we're aware of all of the challenges that face us, and we're preparing ourselves to address them.
Chief, I've talked to several people over at the DA's office. They say that they feel like their caseload is pretty much the same. At least the numbers haven't dropped significantly. I think their number of felony cases screened this year is down about 10%. So they're having some reduction, but they don't feel like there's as much maybe. Can you speak to that?
Well, our work is not contingent upon them, and I don't think that we can manage our activities based on either trying to reduce their workload or reduce the jail population. We play a role as it relates to reducing crime. We can prevent crime. Yes, I think by preventing crimes that we will have less individuals involved in committing crime, and therefore reducing some of our arrest rates. But that's not something that we deliberately go into saying, well, how can I go about reducing the caseload within the district attorney's office?
Chief, you mentioned prevention programs. Is there anything else specifically that you're doing to decrease the number of rapes that we're seeing?
a lot of it has to, especially when we start looking at the analysis of these cases, an overwhelming number of them are involved individuals that know one another. And part of that is are cautions that people can take before we get to that particular point. We see how alcohol is involved in some cases. We see how some men prey upon some women in certain establishments. So a lot of what we do has to be about education. We do have stranger rapes out there, and again, we have to always caution people about their whereabouts, how they enter their homes, and a host of other things. But a lot of the prevention issues have to deal with just preparing ourselves and making ourselves aware of some of the dangers that lurk in certain activities.
You talk a lot about sort of the restructuring that may have really pulled the numbers down. What does that mean to an officer just on a daily level, and how would that officer's work may have been different this year from last year and how they're working on crime?
We're running from call to call. I mean, our officers out in the field, at some point began in the field that they were out there by themselves. They go from one call to the next call to the next call, and not have the opportunity to sit back and look at the problems and be proactive in addressing the problems. Instituting a focused mission team, somebody that is uncommitted to answering calls for service, that can move around at a moment's notice, whether it's day work, evenings, or midnight, to address a particular problem. Just giving these guys the flexibility to make their own schedule. In the past, we were telling them how many people they can have working on a particular shift. Tell them that you can only have 3 people working on midnights, and they look at their crime and say, well, people are breaking into our cars on midnights. That's where I need more people. So we're giving them that flexibility to make those decisions, but not those decisions being made here at headquarters. Guys, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for the opportunity for allowing us to present the status of crime for 2009. I look forward to working with you in 2010 as we embark upon this year. Thank you. Please take advantage of talking to these guys, what their success is all about, how they accomplish that.
Well, if there's any specialty unit that want to discuss it all, we have unit commanders here in the back as well. Just get up. We've also been getting reports.